is Joy News Prime.
Tonight on Joy News Prime, Ghana's 3-year credit agreement with the IMF in danger as government seeks to borrow from the Bank of Ghana in a new amendment which violates IMF conditions. Crucial constitutional amendment bill debate postponed as Speaker of Parliament demands urgency in concluding discussions. Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana issues a one-week ultimatum to government to pay arrears or risk industrial action. In business, second Deputy Central Bank Governor says new Bank of Ghana fund to help address shortfall in financial support for the agricultural sector will take off from October this year. Also, Supreme Court dismisses GBA other suits as it rules that President is not bound by the advice given by the Judicial Council on the appointment of superior judges. Also in this bulletin, the sports, entertainment and Joy News Interactive. Joy News Prime, Ghana's most comprehensive 2 hours of television news, is also available across Europe on ABN Television. My name is Alba Kumsi. Stay tuned. The Association of Civil and Local Government Staff has given a one-week ultimatum to government to pay its members a 4-year arrears of interim premium allowance owed them, or an industrial action by members of the association will come off. At the sidelines of a press conference to drum home their concerns, Executive Secretary of CLOCSAG, Isaac Bampo-Addo, told Joy News a crunch meeting between executives of the association and the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations ended inconclusively, triggering the threat to embark on the nationwide strike. My colleague Latif Idris was at that press conference and joins me in the studio. Latif, what other issues were raised at this press conference? Yeah,
to start with, according to the Executive Secretary of CLOCSAG, the first meeting with Employment Ministry and for that matter the Labour Relations started back in 2012 when they first sat on the negotiation table, both with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and then the Ministry of Labour and Employment. Now they've gone back and forth with this meeting and they don't see any end in sight. According to him, when the single spine pay policy was implemented, some workers in the public sector were worse off, and members of CLOCSAG were among those who were, negatively affected with that implementation. As a result, they went into negotiations with this Employment and Labour Relations Ministry, hoping that they can have these interim premium. According to him, this was...
What were the assurances given by the Employment Ministry at the time that they sat down to negotiate with them over their concerns?
The agreement was that, yes, we are going to pay you this amount. According to him also, he said the interim premium was to cushion them because both... let me also bring this one up, that they've had 3 different committees sitting on this very issue. These 3 committees, all of them have come up with one conclusion, that yes, indeed, the single pay policy has really adversely impacted CLOCSAG members, so they should be given this cushion. So the interim premium was to cushion them so they would not have the impact of the economy as inflation and other issues are coming in and all of that. So they do not understand why after 4 years government has still not been able to follow through with its promises. So I spoke with the Executive Secretary who told me that they have had enough. And so this one-week ultimatum is to get government going. If they do not fulfill their promises, then they should expect them to hit or lay down their tools come 27 July.
We've met with the Honourable Minister Haruna. I think Fair Wages was there, Minister of Finance was there, and they've all agreed that there has been an error somewhere and we're going to look at our issue. But as we speak, as at now, we don't have any favorable or we've not come to any favorable conclusion. So that's why we are declaring the strike action.
Have you exhausted all the legal means available to you before?
We've adjusted committees upon committees that has looked into this issue, and all has come to the same conclusion that we've not been treated well, we've not been treated fairly, but for equity to prevail, we should also be given an interim period.
Haven't you have waited for a while, so deliberation could have at least...
We waited for more than, since we migrated on single finance about 4 or 5 years ago. We waited almost 6 years.
Have you considered the impact this industrial action is going to...
We are looking at our pocket. We are looking at the, now civil servants are wallowing poverty. The Buem report that brought in a single spine salary structure came out that civil servants were the lowest paid in the public services, and the differences are widening. It's of concern to us. That's why we've taken this action. We cannot wait any longer.
So what would you say will bring you back to the negotiation table?
We also deserve to be given the interim period. That's it. We want equity.
So my question is, what will bring you back to the negotiation?
They should give us the interim period. They should also give us the interim period. Then we'll come back to work.
The Supreme Court has, in a unanimous decision, ruled that the President is not bound by the advice given by the Judicial Council on the appointment of superior judges. The suit was filed by the Ghana Bar Association challenging the appointment of 2 Supreme Court judges, Justices Yao Apeu and Gabriel Puamang. The panel, chaired by Justice William Atuguba, in the Wednesday judgment noted that the President has the sole power of appointment. Joy News' Joseph Akable was in court and filed this report.
The suit was consolidated with another filed by Kwesi Danson Achiampong and journalist Richard Delaskai. The two had sought an interpretation of Article 70 on whether or not the President must act in accordance with the advice of the Council of State in appointments such as that of the Electoral Commissioner. The court in its ruling stated that the President is not bound by the advice of the Judicial Council. However, in terms of appointments, they ruled that the appointees must be picked from the list provided by the council. The court explained that granting the relief being sought by the plaintiff will mean the President would have to appoint 100 people even in instances where the council recommends 100 people. The court added that concerns by the plaintiffs about the independence of the judiciary do not arise as there are other institutions such as the Council of State and Parliament which act as a check on the executive. On the suit by Kwesi Danso Achiampong and Richard Sky, the court said the plaintiffs did not make a claim of a breach of constitution. According to them, the plaintiffs were therefore seeking legal advice and directed them to seek such from a solicitor. Lawyer for Richard Delaska, Alexander Afenyo Martins, told Newsman he would want to study ruling before commenting further.
Well, the effect of the court's ruling is that the provisions in the constitution, that phraseology acting on advice, in principle and in the context, has no binding effect on the President. However, it acts as a restraint. That means that when the Council of State or the Judicial Council gives such an advice, the President cannot act outside this. At the same time, the President is not bound by that advice. He is free to choose from. So basically that is the effect, contrary to the views held by us as plaintiffs, that once this advice is given, it necessarily becomes a binding, plays a binding role that the President cannot act outside it. The Supreme Court holds a different view.
Now, as a counsel to the suit, are you satisfied with the ruling?
Well, the Supreme Court has given a judgment. We want to develop the law, and they are the law lords. The Supreme Court is the final avenue for settling constitutional issues. No. So, to the extent of that industry they have put in and given their view on it, I think I'm equally bound by that.
Are you satisfied?
I have to study the decision. We've heard it, and they have given their views of the law.
The Apex Court is expected to rule on other matters before it in the coming days. For Joy News, Joseph Akable.
And speaking of courts, legal analysts have cast doubt on government's ability to retrieve the 25 million euros paid as judgment debt to Waterville Holdings this year. This comes 3 years after the Supreme Court ruled that Waterville, which was allegedly involved in the construction of some stadia ahead of the hosting of the 2008 Africa Cup of Nations, was wrongfully paid and must refund the money. Raymond Aqua has the rest of the story.
June 14, 2013, the Supreme Court directed the international construction firm Waterville Holdings to refund all the money paid to it by the Ghana government on the premise that it had no valid and constitutional contractual agreement with government. Waterville was expected to refund 25 million euros it received from the government following the court's judgment that the said contract it entered into with the government for stadia construction for Camp 2008 was unconstitutional. In November 2013, President Mahama directed the Attorney General and Finance Ministry to, quote, do all in their power, end quote, to retrieve all judgment debt paid foreign firms, Waterville and Isofoton. Attorney General and Minister of Justice Marietta Buem filed processes at the High Court in order to execute the judgment after her predecessor Martin Amidu, who won the original case for Ghana, had questioned government's commitment to pursue the refund. In February 2015, Waterville Holdings Limited then filed arbitration processes at the International Chamber of Commerce challenging the Supreme Court's order. In a written response to a request by Joy News for information on attempts to retrieve the money, the Attorney General said, quote, by the procedural timetable agreed between the parties and barring any extensions of time granted by the tribunal, the hearing of the plenary issues raised in the arbitration will be in or about November. End quote. But Deputy Chairman of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, Samuel Atacha, says the Mahama administration cannot retrieve the money in its first term.
Too much time has elapsed already, and I'm saying that if, with all due respect, this was a matter that was being handled by an individual lawyer who wasn't working for the state. I'm very living with a 0.1% if like commission or legal fees. I strongly believe that if not all, at least half of this money would have been retrieved or recovered. So obviously we have had enough time already, and I do not think that between now and 4 months ahead of us, any serious steps could be taken. Because as it stands now, I'm not aware of any legal, if you like, bar that prevent those who are to enforce the judgment to do so. And if that hasn't been done till now, I wonder why we are even going to expend additional money at arbitration. Because strictly speaking, there is no matter. We have got a judgment given to us by the highest court of the land to recover money owed to the state. Why should we chase bad money with good money, and we don't have enough good money at our hands? So I think that we should just even ask them to just go ahead and do what they want to do when we want to enforce our judgment.
His position is backed by law lecturer Yaopon, who insists nothing prevents government from taking the money from Waterville despite being dragged to the international court.
It is sad indeed that when the government itself will not pursue the recovery of, let's agree, 25 million United States dollars, and it takes a very serious citizen of this realm to go and pursue it and secure them what I would call a judgment that they should enforce it. They are still pussyfooting. That is very sad indeed. It shows you the lassitude on the part of the government in trying to recover these monies. Now let's look at the timelines. If we are talking about a good 2 or 3 years since this judgment was secured, what are you going to do in November when the whole energies of government is to contest these elections? So I'm afraid I do not see them retrieving the money, and
You're watching Joy News Prime. Still to come, the Tamale High Court has given the governing National Democratic Congress the green light to hold the parliamentary primary in the Buem constituency. That's ahead. Join us. Stay tuned. And this is your election headquarters. Now, the Tamale High Court has given the governing National Democratic Congress the green light to hold a parliamentary primary in the Buem constituency. The court Wednesday, presided over by His Lordship Charles Jamfi, upheld the decision by the NDC's National Executive Committee to disqualify parliamentary aspirant for Buem Nambo Berrick. The court also awarded a cost of 20,000 Ghana cedis against Mr. Berrick, the plaintiff. Hashmin Mohammed was in court and filed this report.
Former Member of Parliament for Buem Nambo Berrick in 2015 filed a writ to challenge his disqualification from the NDC parliamentary primary for the constituency, hence stalling the process. However, Wednesday morning's judgment means the NDC can go ahead to hold a primary in the constituency to pick a candidate for the upcoming elections. Party officials say they will move quickly to hold the primaries to pick a candidate. NDC Regional Elections Manager Tanko Rashid said the party would institute disciplinary action against Nambo Berrick after assessing the damage caused to the party.
The disciplinary decision will come after we assess the damage caused to the party. Okay, we know the court awarded 20,000. We were demanding 100,000, and then he has to plead. He was virtually on his knees pleading, and then we had to temper justice with mercy by accepting the 20,000 being awarded to us. We sent a signal. We know that we are interested in the money, but we are sending signal to such people who are bent on disturbing the party and its structures. Okay, who think that their parochial interests should override the supreme interest of the party. That is the signal. That's why we're demanding 100,000. Not that we are looking for the money, so that it will serve as a deterrent to people who think that they can get away with such indisciplined act.
But the plaintiff's campaign manager Kantam Linle tells Joy News Mr. Berrick is considering either appealing against the court ruling or contesting as an independent candidate.
At the beginning of this case, when we applied for the injunction, we came by notice, and the judge in his ruling was very clear that NDC had violated its own constitution in the manner in which they disqualified Honorable Nambo Berrick. So we were very certain when the issues were set out for determination in the actual trial, it took place. And today, to our surprise, 10 issues that were set out, we were successful on 7. 7 were cleared in favor of us, and NDC had 3. But to our surprise, the ultimate judgment went on the way of NDC. We are very surprised, and as a team, we are going to a meeting to determine 2 issues are involved here. Either we are going to appeal against the verdict of this court that we are not happy, or we are going to proceed to file as an independent candidate for election 2016. What the people of Buem want is for Honorable Nambo Berrick to be their member of parliament. Whichever method that would apply to get to parliament, that one is open to us.
The Buem constituency is the only constituency in the northern region that the NDC is yet to file a candidate for the November polls.
The lawyer for the MPP's parliamentary candidate for the Hemang Lower Dinchra constituency in the central region, Bright Rekobrobe, who was accused of aiding and abetting in the theft of 1,201 bags of fertilizer last year, is accusing the Attorney General's Department of employing tactics to stifle justice in the case. Michael Atagaze claims the Attorney General's Department actions have unduly dragged the case for more than a year. Here's Richard Kojunyako's report.
Bright Rekubrebe and 18 others are standing trial for their alleged involvement in appropriation of 1,201 bags of fertilizer belonging to the Ghana Cocoa Board. At the Circuit Court in Cape Coast on Wednesday, scores of supporters of the parliamentary candidates who were expecting judgment to be given as indicated by the judge were disappointed as the Attorney General's department announced that fresh and compelling evidence have emerged out of their investigation. Lawyer for the MPP parliamentary candidate Michael Atadadze says the Attorney General's department is simply playing a political game aimed at delaying the judicial process to disqualify the candidate from contesting the 2016 parliamentary elections.
We were aware of the fact that the AG had issued a fiat on the matter, and because the docket had been forwarded upon the orders of the court, it had been my expectation that a copy of the fiat would have been filed and placed before the judge. The police had further information to give to the court by way of outcome of an investigation. The problem I have is that, one, if the court had ordered for AG's a fiat and a fiat had come, a copy ought to have been placed before the judge. Secondly, the matter has been pending for the past 1 year. What is it by way of new evidence is being used today? The same measure may be used tomorrow.
The case has been adjourned and will be called again in 2 weeks.
Now, it was one of the biggest scandals to hit the Mahama administration, and now with less than 4 months to the general elections, the main opposition party, the NPP, is resurrecting the SADA scandal with fresh allegations of further misapplication of funds and fraud. At a news conference today in the Upper West region, the NPP pointed to some 300 million cedis they claim have been allocated to the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, but which they claim have not been properly accounted for. They are now demanding full disclosure on how the amount was used. They also attacked President John Mahama for failing the people of the 3 regions of the north while supervising the non-recovery of embezzled SADA funds. Listen to Deputy Communications Director of the NPP, Anthony Kabo.
Already, donors who showed great deal of interest in SADA in the early days have abandoned the program and are unwilling to commit any form of resources to it. The ordinary Northerner, through no fault of his or hers, will have to bear the consequences of the actions and crimes of people in authority. I wish to call on the President John Dramani Mahama, to immediately end the ongoing destruction of our ecology and immediately come clean on the issue of the rosewood trees. What influenced the regrettable decision to cut these trees? Why the government decided not to take any action to replace these trees or conserve the ecology of the north, even after taking this regrettable decision, and how much has been accrued to these companies for these trees. Conclusion, in ending, ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that the Cape government has orchestrated and supervised a legacy of shame for the North. They have failed to live up to their promises, they have failed to meet the expectation of our people, and they have failed to meet up with the standards other governments have set in the area of bridging the development gap between the North and the South and bringing relief to our people. What John Mahama and the NDC government has achieved is ensuring that their cronies of the government enrich themselves obscenely in the name of Northern development and the destruction of the Northern brand and the environment.
Time for business now, and John Amwako joins me in the studio now. John, I know that amongst the stories that you're going to be talking about is agric-related stories.
Exactly.
Agric-business related stories. We've been talking about that in the last few days. So what are the details?
But what it is that, you know, over the period, or even yesterday, at the agribusiness busy forum yesterday, organized by Joy Business, one of the key things that really popped up was the fact that agri's contribution, or agriculture's contribution to GDP, is gradually decreasing. Okay, and one of the critical areas they cited as the cause of it is been financing, and the central bank, what is the bank of, which is the Bank of Ghana, has actually set up a fund to deal with that particular shortfall in agriculture. So one of our leading stories today is actually look at that particular fund, when it's actually coming, and what exactly is it that the fund is actually meant to achieve, and to also augment agriculture in Ghana. Basically, that's what we're looking at this evening.
All right, give us the details.
Thank you very much, Abba. Now time for business. And a new Bank of Ghana fund that is expected to address the shortfall in financial support for the agricultural sector will take off from October this year. The fund will see the central bank and commercial banks contribute to it and also provide technical assistance to the farmers. Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of the just ended Joy Business Busy Talk, which focused on addressing challenges facing the sector.
Gross agriculture is just about 4% of the entire financing, and so we want to see how to double this within the next couple of years to about 8% of financing. As I indicated, we are interested in the very innovative schemes. So we've looked at this scheme called GESAL. In Nigeria they call it NESAL. What it does is it is a sort of guarantee scheme to which the central bank and the banks contribute, so that that fund is used to support lending to agriculture. Now that means you don't only give money to the farmers, but then the banks now commit their staff to provide technical support right from inception of the project to marketing. So the entire value chain is covered in that respect. And so this is one intervention we are looking at. A team is going to Nigeria to learn how that scheme has worked, and as I indicated, the scheme in Nigeria has helped to sort of increase rice production significantly in Nigeria. We should be able to replicate that. Kenya has also done the same thing successfully, and so again the team will go there to go and look at how it's working. That's what we are looking at now. And so we are looking at the next couple of months. When we are ready, when the concept, everything is ready, there will be some media publicity. We'll introduce everything to you. The text and all that you need to know will be made public.
You're welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, Ghana could lose out on the third tranche of the $116 million yet to be released to the country under the International Monetary Fund's 3-year extended credit facility to Ghana. This is because a new amendment to the Bank of Ghana Act, currently before Parliament, violates some conditions in the agreement with the fund. The new amendment gives government the right to borrow from the Bank of Ghana up to 5% of revenue, which is in sharp contrast to the IMF condition, which prescribes zero borrowing. Ghana has yet to receive any releases this year from the fund's program, and member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, Dr. Marcus Ibeyebua, thinks it's clear indication the fund has pulled out of the deal.
Technically, if you ask me, is there a program with the fund? For me, I think there's no program. Because there's only a program if they are disbursing. And the fourth tranche, they disbursed when we signed on. Then the second tranche came in August last year. January, they disbursed the third tranche. The fourth tranche, which should have come in by now, it's not coming.
And the reasons being their inability to pass these laws and raising the borrowing to 5%.
Not just the laws, but the issue of the state-owned enterprises. As I told you, the debt portfolio of the state-owned enterprises. The fund is not clear. They think that the government is hiding some numbers. They want to know the extent of the debt of these SOEs. And then even the 2015 numbers, they are not happy with the numbers. The deficit, the debt, they think that somebody is hiding something from. So government has not been sincere in their dealings with the fund, and the fund is punishing them. But it's like a slow poison, you know. They won't tell you that we have abrogated the contract and disbursements are not being made. They still get you to do some of the things they want you to do, and they issue a statement. Funny enough, when they were leaving last time, they said, "Oh, the government is doing
a clean bill of health."
Meanwhile, you are not disbursing.
We still constrain Parliament because joint recent learning the minority in Parliament may vote against the constitutional amendment bill seeking to make changes to the election date. The bill, when passed, will allow the Electoral Commission to hold the general elections in November instead of December, as has been the norm. There's more in the following report.
Today in Parliament, unexplained circumstances forced the House to step down motion on the bill as the Speaker urged members to fast-track the motion in view of its effect on the organization of the 2016 elections. Parliamentary correspondent Elton Brobe explains the delay in tabling of the motion as well as the minority's posture on the matter.
That is the information we've picked, that they may not support the amendment of the constitution to enable the EC hold elections in November instead of December. The information I'm picking from, I've been speaking to members on the minority side. They will not speak to me on record, but they are telling me that that is the decision the caucus is taking. And this decision flows from a steering committee meeting held by the party last night, where it was agreed that the minority members should stay out of approving the report for the amendment of the constitution so that the elections can be held in November. So going into the debates, obviously this is going to be the posture they will adopt as a minority. Yeah, they will express their concerns on the floor of Parliament. And then when it gets to the voting parts, they will not walk out. This is going to be a secret ballot. It's not going to be a head count or a voice vote. It's going to be a secret ballot. So I wouldn't be surprised if some on the other side they decide to vote against, the proposed amendment of the constitution. If that happens, then we are back to the status quo. Judging from what I'm hearing, I'm looking at a proposed amendment on the floor that will be defeated. We going into holding the elections in December. I don't see anything changing from the position that I'm hearing the minority they've adopted.
Away from this issue, the allocation of 3% of the District Assembly Common Fund to disaster management stalled consideration of the National Disaster Management Authority Bill. Rejecting the proposal, some members of Parliament questioned the wisdom behind the deduction.
The formula, this amendment, if carried, would necessarily require Parliament to make provision for it, even though Parliament may not have the power to. So the Constitution says a common fund should be used for a specific purpose. It is defined clearly. There is only the power to make the formula that is given to this House. And yesterday I think there was clear agreement in that respect. Now whether in agreeing the formula, Mr. Speaker, whether in agreeing or approving the formula, we can introduce things which the Constitution has not given us the power to, is a major issue we should look at. I really have a real problem with introducing any bill here that kind of reduces what the Constitution, or clearly what the Constitution has proposed for development of the Assembly. Or a yearly payment. Mr. Speaker, that's where I start from. If the employment of the amendment is for the common fund, when they are bringing the formula to include NADMO, since the formula comes every year, then the amendment should have a connotation of every year when that formula is coming, and allocation should be made to the NADMO.
Meanwhile, the new Member of Parliament for Abetifi, Buem Champong, has been urged to be diligent in his duties to Parliament. Leadership of both sides took time to advise him after his swearing in today to succeed the late MP Peter Biafe Pepra.
I've worked with him. I know his pedigree, but sometimes the rules are different outside. Here in this house, we deal with truthfulness, not propaganda. Truthfulness, not propaganda.
Now member of this house, you take comportment, behavior, and character seriously, both in the house and outside the house.
Now, the Youth League of the Convention People's Party has submitted to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice more information to back a petition they earlier presented for a probe into a possible case of conflict of interest arising from the president's decision to accept a car gift from a Burkinabe contractor. The commission sought more information on the allegation from the youth wing of the CPP last week to aid investigations into the case. Head of communications of the CPP Youth League, Jason Tutu, says his group has managed to put together the relevant information for Shraj. He spoke earlier to host of The Pulse, Francis Aban.
The elements are three: President John Dramani Mahama, Jibril Umaru Kanazoe, a fourth gift, and if there is a fourth component, a contract. So any information that will bring clarity to the interaction between these four elements is what is crucial in this investigation.
And that's why did you provide anything else beyond the work that Manasseh did?
What could be beyond what Manasseh?
I'm asking a question, sir.
We provided enough evidence which we believe should help Shraj come to a conclusion.
This is what? Letters, correspondence, what is it?
Well, I cannot tell.
Why not?
Because, like I said, giving out that detail could be prejudicial to the entire investigation.
But we all know what is in Manasseh's investigation. The whole country knows. The evidence was made there for everyone to know. If it's a matter of public interest, why would you adduce any body of evidence and say that it is an investigative matter and you don't want to divulge it?
Well, if it is limited to what Manasseh said, then I think we all know, so there will be no need for me to repeat it here. But like I said, I don't want to be on record as the one who can be used as the scapegoat by who throw this case out. One of the preconditions that we know going to Shraj is that when enough information in terms of details are given by any of the parties in this case to the public, such that any other party can claim that that information will prejudice the case, then the case becomes jeopardized. We take this case as very critical to the welfare of every Ghanaian. It's a corruption issue, and it involves no other person than the president of this country. So we are being very circumspect, and at no point would we be the cause of this case being jeopardized.
Okay, so when
It's time for entertainment now, and as usual, as always, I'm joined by the lovely Miss G. Miss G, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Araba. How are you doing,
I'm good. I love your Ankara, outfit.
Yeah, thank you, and I love yours as well. But Kwekwan has been asking what your Twitter handle is, and he's been wanting to tweet, about you. I saw a tweet earlier before I came in here. He tweeted myself and Israel saying, "What's your handle that you have?"
Unfortunately, I'm not very active on Twitter.
Okay,
but I'm active on Instagram. I'm active on Facebook. And the rest.
So the should I put your handle out there so that he can get in touch
very
with
soon.
you?
I'll be very active on Twitter.
Okay, alright. But one person who has been trending on social media today is dancehall artist Kaki.
Okay.
Kaki has been away for a long while. She was having her national service. She's a nurse by profession.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and she was having a national service. But she's back and she's done with national service. She's back to business. She's released a song titled Sankwas.
Sankwas. Okay, we'll get to that. But it's kind of interesting. How is she able to manage? She's famous. She's a popular dancehall artist. So to go and do your national service when everybody knows that you're a dancehall artist, how was she able to?
But she was able to manage that because everybody, even before she became Kaki, she was in the necessary training school.
Okay.
So a lot of people knew that she was and then she left Accra to the eastern region to do her national service. And that's how we're not hearing from her. But now she's back to Accra and she has Sankwas, which has been trending, not because people want to hear more of the song, but because of certain words or lyrics in the song.
Oh wow.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to see this video, 2 different videos. When we come back, we have some more discussion.
They wanna sing like me, all I hear is nee. Position one very weak. They don't know so we the chewy. Position one very weak. They don't know so we the chewy.
Sankwas. You know, it's amazing about anybody. You know, I don't know if you know what Sankwas means.
Well, it's certainly not something positive. That's what I know for sure.
Okay, at least you're close.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering why she decided to do a song, you know, with title Sankwas. But that's not the issue now.
Or is she dissing somebody?
Well, we'll come back. We'll come back
in
to
the era of
you know, beefs, you know. But what did you see about these two videos that you just watched?
I thought I heard something like weed.
You had weed. Now, in the first video, that was her performance somewhere early in the year when she was on the Pulse concert, and she had something that was either cigar, some people said it was weed, and she asked for a fan to light it up for her. So they lit it for her, and we saw her hold it and perform through. Now, in this Sankwas song, you're hearing Kaki say, opposition won't bury we, but they don't know so we they chew weed.
Wow.
And so all through today, we've had, you know, bloggers say that, oh, she confesses to using weed. Some people say she confesses to smoking weed. 2 times she has been seen, or like once she's been seen with something people think is weed.
Okay.
Secondly, she's been heard talking about weed.
Okay.
And so that's how come everybody's talking about her. But, you know, she says, no, it's just a song. And then talking about the beef, you know, this song people thought was a diss song to Miss V, but she says, look, I'm not thinking about Miss V at all. I don't have any issue with Miss V, so forget about Miss V. But she really has people she calls Sankwas, and the true Sankwases know themselves. Anyway, I'm sure if I ask you about the Tema-based artists, there's something you tell me. What do you know about them?
Well, I think Sarkodie is a Tema-based artist. Yeah, and I think R2B's as well.
Great.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
You're doing well. But you know, over the years, since we had the Tema faction, Accra, Kumasi, Kriapin rappers and all the fancy rappers, we've known that the Tema-based artists actually stand tall. Every time we see them do videos together, go places together, and you seem to find some sense of unity amongst them. Now, one of the artists who's also from Tema is called Daddy Opanka. Now, Daddy Opanka has been speaking. He says, look, all those are artificial. Things are not the same anymore.
We used to be shooting videos in the bars, like we gather, we shoot freestyle videos and stuff. But now I think some people are, which is true, some people are ahead of some people. And I don't know if those ahead sometimes feel like they are not supposed to come down to those they think are below them, their level, or they feel like no, they shouldn't come to their level. I don't really know, but it has changed. It's not like before. You get truth be told.
Opanka, are you very cool with Stonewall?
Before we were close, and now we are not that close, so I wouldn't know about real or not real. Because we are not that close, you get it.
What happened? What changed?
Oh, nothing changed. As we're growing, everybody, you know, sometimes your movement changes. So maybe you look here, somebody will look here. So even people you play with, when you grow, due to work, you don't see each other.
You go way back with Sarkodie, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys still cool?
Oh no,
it's changed.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Time for sports now, and Asari Bediako joins me with all that's happening on the sporting front in Ghana. Asari, I hear that Ebusia drops. I mean, from my home region, central region.
Robert Mensah Stadium in Cape Coast.
Exactly.
They've handled Asante Kotoko their biggest defeat yet.
My goodness.
This season, 4-1.
That is great.
And
that is
Hasselhoff are still on top of the table after match day 20.
Kudos to them.
So between Kotoko and Haas, 5 points ahead of the super clash.
Wow.
On Sunday. But games involving Kotoko and Haas don't follow form guide. It could be anybody's game.
Interesting. All right, take it off.
Okay, so let's talk sports here on Joy News Prime. My name is Asari Bediako. Let's begin with match day 20 action of the Ghana Premier League, and Hasselhoff have maintained their position at the top of the table after fighting hard to defeat visiting Bekum Chelsea 1-0 at the Accra Sports Stadium on Wednesday afternoon. Kwame Kizito, who came off the bench, scored the winning goal for the Phobians in the dying embers of the game. And after the match, head coach of Hasselhoff, Sergio Trago, said the Continental Club Masters deserved the victory.
It was a very tough game against a tough team. They came here to try to get at least 1 point. They create some chances. I think they any team that comes to play against us, they are motivated, they are trying to do something. So it was a very tough match for us, but we deserved to win. We created the best chances. Some of them that we should score, but at the end of the day, we scored one goal, Kizito, wonderful goal, and we deserve the victory, 100%.
In about with 20 games of the Ghana Premier League, Inter Allies beat Wafa 1-0 in Tema at the Nana Fosuji Abo Park. It ended 1-1 between the Chain United and defending champions Ashanti Gold. Mediana Sporting Club beat Liberty Professionals 1-0 in Takwa. Second placed All Stars won 2-0 against Techina and City in Wa. And there was a big upset at the Robert Mensah Stadium in Cape Coast. Ebusia Dwarfs whitewashed 10-man Asante Kotoko 4-1. Niedbiasi United drew goalless with Hazakers at the Lenclay Stadium in Obuase, and Dreams FC beat Ediana Stars 2-0 in Deo.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin. My name is Arba Crimson. Join us same time tomorrow. Good night.
This is Joy News Prime.